For over 1,000 years, Western civilization has been stuck in a dark age of sexual repression and misinformation. We get an oversexed overload from the media, but nothing in the way of honest, helpful, practical information on sex and how to do it right. That sucks, and I'm fucking sick of it. My name's JV Altheras, and I've spent a couple decades learning everything I can about how to have amazing sex and more of it. Not in a classroom like a lot of people who talk about sex. I learned it all in the gutter, right where Mom told me I'd end up. It's my mission to bring an end to the sexual dark age with brutally honest talk and education on all aspects of sex and sexuality, in an atmosphere that will keep you entertained without treating you like an idiot. Shara and I are not doctors. Certifiable, perhaps, but not certified in any way. And that means we don't have to talk about vaginas and penises to maintain academic credibility. You got a problem with a vagina? Call a gynecologist. You want to learn more about pussies and cocks and how to make them happy? You've come to the right place. Ending the Sexual Dark Age is now sponsored by the internet's most trusted name in adult toys. A happy pussy likes to play more often. AdamandEve.com is offering you guys half off on your choice of thousands upon thousands of vibrators and dildos and cock rings and strap-ons, nipple clamps, porn DVDs, butt plugs, pocket pussies, anything else you can imagine to either get yourself off or have some fun with your playmate. As always, we highly recommend making sex toys part of your sex life, and right now, AdamandEve.com is only asking for one chance to impress you. They're offering an awesome deal in support of ending the sexual dark age, and the whole thing goes a little like this. By typing Dark Age, all one word, for the offer code at checkout, you will get 50% off the most expensive item in your cart, with a few exceptions, free shipping, 3 free porn DVDs, and a sexy free mystery gift. Free DVDs are selected randomly and added to your order before they ship. AdamandEve.com is willing to damn near pay you to get off. So stop by, enter DARKAGE at checkout, and proceed to collect on an awesome deal. Or just follow one of the links on sexualdarkage.com. And if you like surfing on your smartphone, be sure to check out Adam and Eve's new mobile site. Yes, you too can buy dildos right from your iPhone now, thanks to Adam and Eve. Welcome at long last, episode 42. Shara and I needed to take a little hiatus that became a not-so-little hiatus over the holidays due to sheer madness and chaos on a daily basis, but we are quite happy to be getting back to the show. Listener questions and comments did not take a hiatus, which is a beautiful thing, but it also means that the mailbag runneth over. So we're going to ease back in with a nice quick episode, then do a couple more listener mail shows to catch things up before moving on to how to be a sexual submissive. Today, we're going to be talking about feminism as it relates to sexual submission. This was incited by an email from Wonder Woman. She writes, "My husband and I have been married for 6 years and about a year and a half ago decided to explore the wonderful world of ethical non-monogamy. So far, the adventure has been great for us and our relationship. We had great communication and great sex before, but both have gotten even better since we decided to open things up. I didn't know much about the BDSM lifestyle before we opened up, but have been learning more about it since then. Your show has been a good resource for that. Recently, my husband has started to express more of an interest in BDSM and being in a dominant role. Some of his other partners have responded well to that interest, and he has begun to explore it a little with them. I, however, do not feel drawn to it myself. Sounds like a perfect scenario. I'm not interested, but we have an open relationship, so he can explore that with others. But I find myself feeling uncomfortable and nervous about him exploring his kinky side. I've been open-minded about all our play, we've tried some spanking, and I've tried more dominant and submissive roles with some other partners. Once it progressed beyond my partner basically just running the show into more of him actually starting to tell me what to do, I ceased to enjoy the power play. I've even tried taking on the dominant role myself and never felt comfortable with that either. I'm not disappointed in that for myself, I just figure that's not my particular interest. But I know that everyone has their own fetish and should feel comfortable exploring it. However, I seem not to feel the same way about my husband and BDSM. I think my main level of discomfort lies with my inability to reconcile the lifestyle with my feminist ideals. In my head, I can rationalize that all involved are consenting adults and performing actions they are choosing to do. They are doing what gets them excited. No conflict, right? Well, I keep getting stuck on the fact that the majority of dominants are men and submissives are women. This just can't be merely a coincidental product of our patriarchal society. And when I think of a man dominating me, or any woman, it makes me feel sick to my stomach. It's like we're taking a step backwards. I've been looking for resources online to try to help me learn more and help get myself past this antiquated view, but I have yet to hear a really good argument as to why this isn't the case. When it was other people participating, I think I felt the same way, just not as strongly because it's not really my business what goes on in other people's bedrooms. But now that my husband is showing interest, I find myself much more critical. I think part of me is nervous that if he likes it enough, he'll try to start bringing it back into our play, although he and I have talked about that, and he's assured me that won't happen. But I'm also nervous that if I can't reconcile these feelings, it could affect my opinion of him and his other partners if he continues on this path, and I would never want that to happen either. Can you talk about how the BDSM lifestyle fits in with feminism and equality? Also, perhaps recommend some resources to help me come to terms with it and my partner's interest in it. Well, Wonder Woman, I've actually had some long and very interesting conversations with women on feminism and sexual submission, and I understand your conflict. Hopefully I can help you find a little bit of resolution, and this is where I come down on the topic. The whole point of feminism is a desire to provide women with the same range of life choices as what's available to men. In tangible aspects, that's things like equal pay for equal work and equivalent representation in leadership roles. In a sexual context, the original women's liberation movement of the 60s and 70s fell way short. Just say no to fake orgasms is what should have been on the fucking picket signs. Still should, actually. I'd pay good money to see a little of that on the steps of the Capitol. I also think women's liberation is a better name than feminism for the ideal, since I think it paints a clearer picture. Liberation is all about securing and protecting liberty. And that's when you're talking my language. Liberty is the right to make your own choices, regardless of what any third party or any social dogma might want you to do. It's also the right to lay claim to your own personal brand of feminism. Yes, I've known a whole bunch of feminist sexual submissives, and they are not conflicted at all about it. Open sexuality requires that we explore what gets us off and embrace it. And a ton of sexual submissives are very assertive people in their daily lives. My slave happens to be one of them. Sexual submission is a release that allows them to get lost in a primal part of themselves that doesn't fit into their assertive vanilla existence. So to say that feminism isn't compatible with sexual submission is to say that these women have every right to fully actualize lives out in the world, but shouldn't be allowed to find sexual fulfillment in submission because it makes them bad feminists. In my book, that is not liberty. Our sexual tendencies are also, going back to your observation that it can't just be a coincidental result of a patriarchal society. Sexual tendencies are the product of both nature and nurture. And you got to remember that modern humans are the result of at least a few hundred generations of evolution selecting for male dominance and female submission. Throughout most of recorded history, submissive females have been more desired. And from an evolutionary perspective, that means they would tend to have more children and raise their daughters in their own image. A few hundred generations is a powerful block of time for evolution to work its mojo and for submissive traits to be ingrained into women. Or more accurately, for submissive traits to be more encouraged to the extent that they are much more prevalent than the dominant traits. We shouldn't be surprised when a lot of women find fulfillment in sexual submission. Promoting equality is a worthy and honorable goal, but true equality is a game that will have to play out across centuries instead of decades, because it takes one generation after another, after another, after another to effect real change on something like instinctual behavior. I think feminism means supporting every woman's right to make her own choices and follow her path wherever it leads, finding sexual satisfaction wherever she happens to along the way. In your case, that choice means the right to reject submission for yourself and your personal playtime without being ostracized or vilified for it. By and large, I think feminism has pretty much accomplished that part of the mission at this point. In the case of submissive women, it's the right to be as assertive as they choose out in the world and then beg to be treated like sluts when the bedroom door closes. Asking them to do any different would be expecting them to trade patriarchal oppression for matriarchal oppression, to sacrifice their own sexual fulfillment for the good of the cause. I don't know exactly what you'd call that, but I'm pretty sure it's not a step forward for women's liberation. And regarding your question on how the BDSM lifestyle fits in with feminism and equality, I would encourage you to go to a few munches, even if you have no interest in playing yourself. I would encourage you to go to a few munches. Your husband would probably enjoy it as well, because he is trying to explore kink. And observe for yourself, because I got to tell you, the BDSM community is about the most equanimitous, is that a fucking word? What is now? The most equanimitous community that I have ever been a part of. And if most of your experience on the kinky side of the tracks has always been in sexually charged situations, whether it was when you and your husband were playing with another couple or any sexually charged situation or at a swinger party or whatever, it might open your eyes a little bit to interact with a bunch of those people at something like a munch where there will be no play, there is no sexual component. So you get to get in touch with anyone you meet on somewhat of a more intellectual level. There are no expected gender roles or even really encouraged gender roles. In the BDSM community, female dominant is accepted at face value at her word and treated as a comrade by any other dominants, male or female. Female submissives are treated with respect, and the value of their submission is very much appreciated. So I honestly think you'd probably feel different if you got out there in the community a little bit and got to know some people. Like I said, go to some munches with your husband. Believe me, a couple showing up at pretty much any gathering of kinksters that shows up as one male dominant and one curious observer who's not particularly interested in any play for herself would not even raise an eyebrow. And as far as web links, in the show notes for this episode, there will be a link to an excellent article written by a feminist sexual submissive on Alternet. And I think it's probably exactly what you're looking for. And now we have Shara joining us to talk about feminism from a dirty little slut's perspective.
Well, now, I'm just happy to be here since you're calling me such good names.
Did I mention to you that we had a listener post on the bathroom wall that he would really appreciate more on-air spankings and molestations of you?
You know, you did. I was kind of hoping you'd forget a little bit, but then I said, why would I want you to forget when I enjoy it? So you did mention it to me, and, you know, I'll do whatever I have to do to make you happy.
Whip out a titty.
There you go.
Let's get it up closer to the microphone. Come on. You know where we're going with this.
No, I don't.
I'll bring the microphone down to the titty. Okay. There's a little titty spanking.
Thank you.
You know, I wanted to give that particular listener a little instant gratification on that.
That was very nice of you, and I appreciate it too.
I know you do. So yes, we certainly have room for more molestation of Shara on the show. So speaking of feminism.
Yes.
You read Wonder Woman's email.
I did.
What thoughts do you have to add to what I've already said?
Well, first of all, I want to say that I think that your outtake on it I like. I do agree with your outlook on the liberty part of it. So I do think that it really has to do a lot with where a woman's head is at and what she's looking for, as it is for a man, you know, but we're talking about women, feminism. Some people feel like they fought long and hard to get to a certain place in life and making it kind of equal out there. And so for a lot of women, it's difficult for them to become submissive. The way I look at it is, it's my choice to become more submissive. So I'm not giving up anything. I'm willingly giving it. So we own a business together. When I'm at the business, I have to be a woman in charge. But I also know that that only goes so far.
You guys should see how she's looking at me right now.
Yes, you should. I know that only goes so far. Sometimes I know that if we had the collar at the shop, I'd have that collar put on me sometimes because I get into that role.
Well, I could bring up one of the metal collars that I got downstairs. I throw a quick coat of paint on it. You won't even be able to claim it's dirty.
I'd like to.
Oh, Master, don't make me wear it. It's dirty. Don't make me wear that, please.
So anyway, back on track. I wear 2 hats, but when I'm at the office, I still have to remember that you are my master because we do this more than just... I'm not saying that we do 24/7, but it's in your head 24/7.
Yeah, it pretty much is.
Yeah. So, but you do not treat women like they are less than a man. Some men out there, women had to fight so hard because men only looked at it that way, especially in the previous years. Going forward, it's really not looked at like that anymore. But depending on how some women are raised, it can be to the point that I don't want to give this part of me up. I don't feel like I'm giving that part of me up. I still am a woman that owns a business that people respect me for. And, after we've been doing the business for 10 years now.
Yeah.
So, we
doesn't feel like a day over 100.
But I mean, we did it together. We've received awards. We've done a lot of things together. And we look at it and we go, wow, we built this. But I don't feel like you think that you did it more than I did it. It's a partnership. But I still know that there's only so far I can go at the business before our master and submissive relationship.
That's right. When I call you into my office and tell you to whip out a titty, what happens?
I whip out a titty.
That's
I come to
right.
your office and I whip out a titty.
That's right. You love getting those intercom messages.
I do. Okay.
And there's the first horrendous blush of the show.
I have to, just a quick side note here. I have to tell you today, I had a meeting that that I had to go to at 4:00, and I'm standing out there waiting for this person to come and get me for the meeting. And this other person comes out and he says, "Oh, sure. I didn't know that you were there." And I said, "That's okay. No big deal." He said, "We need to get a bell out here." I almost turned 3 shades of red because immediately the bell I thought about was the one that sits right here on the desk. So it was funny. I just had to tell you that.
Now, you have always been in boss positions,
Yes.
well, maybe not always, but I mean, pretty much your whole adult life. You've been in management positions and positions where you had people who reported to you.
Yes.
Did you have any conflicts between, I see you warming up. For the record, I'll finish the question. When you first started exploring your sexual submission or your submissive side, did you feel any conflicts between that and the submission?
Absolutely. And when I was reading Wonder Woman's information there, I definitely felt conflict. I felt, number one, like it was wrong. So that was number one, what I had to deal with, because I worked at a psych center for a long time. So, that being said, you're dealing with psychiatrists, you're dealing with psychologists and social workers who have experienced many different things. And, and we had a lot of fun. And that's what happened was, actually, I happened to be sitting there and I moved myself from
Tell me you got your first spanking at the Funny Farm. Come on, tell me.
No.
Damn it.
Actually.
So I got so much mileage out of that.
I worked at a hospital where the interns would come through, and
the Academy of Puzzles.
Exactly. And this one intern wanted to take me out. So, and I knew his friend. So we went on a double date, and my first experience, and I did not work at the psych center yet, but my first experience was he wanted to take handcuffs and tie me up to the bed and chain me up to the bed. Whatever.
On a first date?
On the first date.
That's epic. Did you let him?
Oh my gosh. I ran out of there. I was so scared to death. I called his friend on the phone and I said, "Yeah, I gotta get over here." And I now wonder, does he listen to the podcast and does he know who I am and does he realize that,
Well, I think I'm going to need his phone number.
I still want to say his name, but
Handcuffs. Oh no, perish the thought. God, that's fucking hilarious.
I know.
Even thinking about it.
I know. It is. I mean, it's so funny. Well, when I worked at the psych center, I started off as a transcriber. And then I moved up into receptionist. So as a receptionist, I'm sitting there and we also taught sex therapy at the clinic. So I'm sitting there and all of a sudden I hear this, Shara. And I turn and I look and they throw Pedro at me. And Pedro obviously is a dildo. And
obviously, because what else would you name Pedro?
Yeah. So of course I'm young, so I'm like, oh my gosh, I turned 3 shades of red, and here we go, okay. And so they were having fun with me. But as time went on, I became the executive secretary, and I became much more powerful, and I had a lot more fun.
And it
with
was
that.
you waving dildos at people.
Absolutely, absolutely. So working there brought out a whole different side of me, but I worked from, ground up to become the executive secretary there. And the nice thing about it was I learned about myself and I learned about my independence, and I learned that it was okay to want different things. I mean, in the sex therapy, people learn all different types of things, what they want to do in sex. This person might want this and this person might want that. So I think that Wonder Woman is finding, her own little road and what she wants to travel, and she wants her husband to have his road. But that brings up a lot of questions. She seems totally secure in the fact that, he might be out there and wanting this and wanting that, and she doesn't seem intimidated by that at all. So I think that her feminism is fine.
Yeah, I would agree with that. She doesn't, she seems to be in a generally good place. She's having a conflict with it.
She's never once mentioned during her whole conversation that she sent to us, never once did she say, I'm worried that he's going to become more attached to them and want to be with them.
No, that doesn't seem to be her concern.
But what I'm saying is that's her feminism, and she's secure with herself. So she just might not be somebody who's able to provide that. She might not be into the kink, and sometimes you have to give it a little more time because you don't necessarily know. And I don't know how long she's been doing it. I don't know if she mentioned it. I mean, it didn't seem like it's been very long.
They've been swinging for about a year and a half.
So swinging versus getting into BDSM is,
right. Well, she said that they started doing both about the same time.
Okay, so
but so would you agree with my assessment that by and large the BDSM community is probably more accepting of feminism than anybody else you can find in the Yellow Pages?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, I agree with that. Yeah. Yes. So, and that's why I think that you do find a lot more women playing dominant roles than people think. Because I did see her part in there that she felt most of the dominants were men and the submissives were female. But I really do see a huge, vast...
That's right. I support female dominance. In fact, the last time we ran into one that you knew, I had her give you a spanking with my flogger.
You did. And then we always have my favorite Dawn out there, tiny little thing that used to flog me all the time.
Yep. Yeah, she did use my flogger that one night we ran into her at the club.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And
she was, and this girl is so petite. I mean, she's like 4'10".
And she can handle
4'10", yeah.
And very, very much in control of her female side. She just...
Oh, yeah. But seeing her with my flogger in her hand, it was almost silly. I mean, if she let her arm rest, it was dragging on the ground. It was hilarious.
Well, you've seen her flogger.
She beat your ass. That was awesome.
And her flogger, she's got long floggers. She's, it's awesome. But, yes, I have to get a hold of her soon.
All right, so anything else to say on the topic of feminism and submission?
Like I said, I think you really covered it well. I really believe in being submissive because that's who I am, but I like my dominant role at the business, the parts that I'm allowed to have, which do not include you.
Oh, you never stop trying, though.
I wouldn't be a good submissive if I didn't try and see what I could get away with. You bad submissive you are. We're going to have to take you and spank you. Yes, you are.
As if I use spankings for punishment.
Yeah,
you like
I know.
those too much.
I do. Okay, so yes, I would have to say basically that, I think that her questions out there, but she is also interested in some information, which I came across some, so we'll have to get some over to her and maybe put it on the wall for other people.
Yeah, and I also did find a really on target article.
Oh, good.
That was about feminism and sexual submission, written by a feminist sexual submissive.
Did you get that to her?
It's going to be in the show notes. So
okay.
I couldn't walk over and hand it to her. That'd be problematic. But yeah, I'm giving it to her via the show notes.
I meant email. No, really. Good time to play with my brain power.
Yeah, so before we wrap things up, I have a little announcement to make about Tree of Shadows, which is my old band. The original album that we released, Pause, which was, over 10 years ago. And we just released 6 unreleased cuts on an EP. And these were all songs that we used to play up at the festival live all the time. And that got recorded and would have been part of a second album had life not happened and had we finished that second album. I have played a couple songs on the show in the past, and for forever, there wasn't any place to buy it online. And this band came to an end before this fucking convoluted downloading music shit that all you kids are doing out there through the inner tubes now. Us old fuckers. Anyway.
Yeah, now that you're 90.
Yeah. As we always used to describe it, Tree of Shadows is what happens when 3 heavy metal guys embark on the sacred mission to bring rock and roll to our beloved local Renaissance festival in a way that made it fit right in. And as you got to see, thankfully, that the year I met Shara, the year after we stopped playing the festival, because no matter how much fun it was, it just didn't pay enough. But yeah, we did it in a way that made it fit right in, and it was kind of amazing. And the music was good enough that the owner of the studio where we recorded the Pause album joined the band. So he recorded the album. And he's like, "Hey, you guys need a rhythm guitar player?" So we used to play 7 35-minute sets a day in the open air, which is like running a fucking marathon. We did it 7 weekends in a row, in character from dawn to dusk. And quite honestly, it was the most fun I have ever had with my clothes on. We called the music 16th century rock and roll, and one fan used to call it acoustic Renaissance folk metal, and that fits pretty much just as well. So on our couple of years of tour duty at the Guinness Pub stage, and just instead of just on duty at the bar, which is where we always used to be, got the chance to work with just an amazing number of truly awesome performers, and we had a few thousand very loyal fans that we will remember forever. The music runs the gamut from metal-esque philosophical stuff to floor-stomping, beer-spilling, wench-grabbing drinking songs, and we are offering a royalty-free license to any podcasters or radio stations who'd like to add some hassle-free music to their shows. And you guys can find more info on the simple as hell royalty-free license at treeofshadows.com, along with song lyrics, links, etc., etc. So that ends the shameless plug for the release of Tree of Shadows, and now that I'm done rambling, I'm sure the slut probably has a couple things to say about the band.
Oh, do I ever? I would have been happy to put the plug in for you, and I don't mean the butt plug.
Baby, you're always happy to put the plug in for me.
Honestly, the shame is if someone did not get to see you perform, because hearing the music is great, but seeing it performed in, the Renaissance Festival type atmosphere is so amazing. And, it just really is so great to listen to. So I think that there's a lot of people out there that'll, get it. And listening to you sing it, it's like two totally different people. It doesn't, your voice when you're singing it is so different from your voice here and things like that. And I mean, it's just, you put that whole century sound to it. So it's,
you want to tell the audience about the little ego check you didn't get to give me?
I was going to. Okay, well, we had just kind of started going out, and we had just kind of opened our business, and so it was the last time. Well, actually, you were actually done playing, but the one guy.
It was the season.
The one guy had called and
yes.
asked you to come up and play. So you invited me to come up, and I thought, well, I never had been there, so I'm going to go. So on the way out there, you go, okay, now listen, if I don't introduce you to somebody, if you could say, hi, my name's Shara, because, this way they'll probably introduce themselves, and then we'll both know who they are, because I have the band has a lot of fans out there. And so people will be coming up and I may not know who they are. And I thought to myself, wow, who am I dating? This guy's got some huge ego. So we pull up, we're barely out of the car, and all of a sudden I hear, Max. And I'm like, oh my God, oh, tell me you're playing today. Yes, we're going to play, and we're just up here for fun, but we're all going to play, and we're going to be at the smokers area. And I'm like, okay, go a couple more feet. Max, Tree of Shadows, please tell me you guys are playing today. This went on. By the time we got to the actual gate, which we didn't have to, pay to get in because he knew everybody there, and he was performing that day.
I haven't paid for a ticket at that place since 1997.
Shh, don't give that away to everybody. But by the time we get to the gate, I am not kidding, at least 52 people stopped us. And by the way, there was not a long walk from the car to the gate.
It was like an eighth of a mile walk. It was a distance.
Still, for me, it was not that long. I mean, I was like,
I warned you.
Do I tell this guy now? But I'll have to eat my words, because I thought he had a huge ego.
For the record, she didn't tell me for like a year.
I think it was longer than that, because I knew that I would be paying for it for the rest of my life. So, but I then saw you perform, and I was so glad that I had the chance to watch you perform, because when I listen to the music, and a lot of it is very sentimental for me, and some of it's just downright fun, and we'll be listening with it with other people, and I'll go, oh, I like this song. Oh, this is my favorite song. Oh, this is my favorite song. So basically I realized that I love them all so much. They're all my favorite. So I really do like them all. Captain's Daughter is one of my favorites, though.
Yeah, and actually it was that day, it was our dearly departed friend, John Kolick, that was a command performance for him.
Yeah.
He didn't even give us an option. I mean, he called up and said, I can't believe I'm doing the Renaissance Smoker event this year without you guys. it's fucking killing me. You have to come up and do one set. One day you have to. I'm dying up here. And that was great. That was actually the fastest they ever sold out that event. And it was once they started doing it in the big tent, and there were all kinds of people surrounding us, so the acoustics weren't as good as they were at the old venue.
Oh, but it was great. I mean, I loved the setting.
Oh, it was so much fun.
It was great. And to watch everybody join around to watch when they found out that you guys were going to be playing at that time, and to watch everybody surround. I mean, it started off with the band, me, and a couple of other, women that were there for their men, and a couple of your close friends. And then I'm like, all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh. I turned around and we were just surrounded by people. There was no moving room. It was unbelievable. But it just goes to show you how talented you guys are.
Well, it was a lot of fun. We brought something up to that. We got away with bringing something into that place that probably nobody ever expected.
Yeah.
And we weren't even ashamed of it. We just made sure that it fit in, and we had so much fun.
Yeah, I had fun too.
So much fun.
And then, of course, people are grabbing underneath your skirt and your dress and stuff, so that was fun too.
Well, yeah, only once you make it clear that you don't mind. So, but yeah, no, everybody, it's a casual atmosphere. There's plenty of grab ass and random kissing and general wenching that goes on.
Yep, it's a good time. So very, very good stuff.
Yeah, so that pretty much brings this hiatus hangover episode to a close, and we thank you guys for hanging in with us through the break. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with more from the mailbag, and please join the conversation by posting anonymously on sexualdarkage.com, emailing me at jvaltheros@gmail.com, or my girl at jvshara@gmail.com. You can also find us both on Facebook, Twitter, FetLife, and I am now on Goodreads to connect with the avid readers out there now that I am a published author.
And I will be soon. I apologize. We've been very busy, so I am so glad we're back on track here and looking forward to getting back into our regular routine and, sharing the emails that we get and the questions that we get, because we are definitely on overload with that. So.
Yep, and I'm going to have you do a shameless plug for Lady of the Drake.
Right now?
Yeah, right now.
You want me to do a plug?
Yeah, I want you to do a plug for the book. You said you wanted to plug the music, so
you're
you plugged the book.
You're not going to make me tell everybody that every time I read it, I had my toys out and, was pulling out toys and playing with them.
Well, apparently I don't have to make you.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes she really does forget about the 9-inch microphone in her face. It's hilarious.
because we're talking and it's like so natural. But the book was great. I absolutely loved it. And I love your short stories too. And I was very happy to receive my signed copy from you. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're very welcome.
I
And actually, we ran that contest. We had less than 10 entries on it, so there's only one winner. So Joe Z, congratulations. I will be emailing you shortly to get your mailing address so I can send out your limited edition paperback copy.
Yeah, congratulations. And it's really a great book if you get a chance. It's just one more talent out there that JV has that you really need more time to share with people the talents that you have. And,
thank you, baby.
Seriously, it's, one of the very many talents. Some of the talents, though, we have to get back to for, you and I, because we've been so busy. Although people have been very appreciative of the fact that you've been so busy. Well, we've both been busy, but you have been on overload at work. But they've been great understanding that sometimes we just had to get that sex in between, which wasn't, we're getting back to normal routine, so that's great. But I want to thank Belinda for being there and finally talking to her on the phone and getting to know her. And I owe her a phone call back, but I had a lot of good talk with her and her and Aaron, I do believe that have that dominant female in them. So there's some stories there. I'd love to hear more. So I have to call Belinda soon. So hi to the two of you and to everybody else out there that listens. Thank you so much.
And since we are celebrating the digital release of Everything by Tree of Shadows, both the original album and the EP of unreleased cuts, I'm going to take a minute here to rededicate one of our songs. We had a tune called Ode to the Fallen that was written in honor of a good friend who passed away unexpectedly the year before the band got together.
Yes. Good man.
Yep, and that was Sean Kelly. He was a festy, a minstrel, and all-around generally awesome guy, known as Rasputin to any given festival patron. And I was sitting around about a year after he died, and I happened to be drinking a mug full of cider, imagine. And I was thinking about him, and the lyrics to this song started coming together in my head, because the last thing that he would want is people sniffling and sobbing at his memory. He would want people drinking in his honor. And that's what this song is really all about. And roundabout exactly 2 years ago, the world lost another fantastic entertainer in John Kolick, better known to many as Sir Walter Raleigh, and flat out one of the finest entertainers that we ever had the privilege of working with. So I am proud to share Ode to the Fallen with you guys right after my sign off in a second. Song dedicated to the memories of Sean Kelly, John Kolick, and all those others who fell before their time. Until next time, this be me, JV Authoras, reminding you that sex is one of the greatest things in life, and there is always room for better.
Since the day that we met, we were brothers in arms. In the taverns we drank, in our fields we farmed. From chasing the lasses and choosing our wives, to taking up arms and defending their lives. For as I sit here in the tavern, remembering thee, with the same old sweet sentiment you would for me, I raise my mug high, lad, for brothers were we. I'll drink one for myself, then I'll drink one for thee. Think of ladies we loved and the battles we won. There are times my mind slips, I forget that you're gone. Since the day that you fell, many seasons have passed, but as brothers in arms we might still share a glass. For as I sit here in the tavern, remembering thee, with the same old sweet sentiments you would for me, I raise my mug high, lad, for brothers were we. I'll drink one for myself, then I'll drink one for thee. On occasion we all gather round at your stone, for no man, live or dead, ought be drinking alone. We all wish you peace, lad, wherever you be. If it's not too much bother, then drink